Hey, what's shaking, guys? Duke Dancy here, and we are here today to talk all about Flat Pack from Jason Knowles. This is the trick everyone, and I do mean everyone's been talking about. So why don't we talk about it with Jason Knowles? What's up, Jason? There you are, buddy.
Hi, everybody.
All right, dude. This is the trick right now that everyone is talking about, and for good reasons. It's visual, it's quick, it's a great opener, it's a good closer. Why don't you just tell them like where this came from, and then we're going to get into all the specifics about this. But where did Flat Pack come from? I'm sure everyone likes to know. And also, if you want to move over a little bit to your right, so we can see a little bit better. There you go. All right, cool. So yeah, where did this come from? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. So basically, I was in Magic World in Manchester, just jamming with some friends, and Daniel Meadows, he's one of the most creative people I've ever met. Basically. Said, how cool would it be if you could pull a deck of cards from a mint tin? And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. So it kind of started from there. And then a few weeks later, I had a little break with the wife. We went away to the countryside and I just took my little gimmick making tin with me and had a few days in the woods. And the next thing I had some kind of formings of an idea and it just went from there.
Love it. Awesome. And obviously everyone out there that saw the trailers. And we've got some clips we're going to show too along the way, some really quick to the point clips here. But there's also one that you just sent me that I'm going to start to run here. This is the clip that you sent me. We're going to call this the full clip. This is the black and white clip I'm showing right now, Jason, where the box expands. It comes up, and then basically now the deck is taken out of the box. Talk about this one so they can see look at the different angles here too. The box appearing and. Because some people think this is only like something you can do on camera. I just want you to kind of talk through this for me.
Yeah, so I guess when I first came up with the idea, it was like, yeah, this is going to work great for a seating sort of performance. So you've seen the gimmick up close. I'll show you up close. So the idea of dropping it onto a table and then being able to work it from there was always dead simple. But everything I do is walk around. I never perform seated at a table. So if anyone ever asks me to do any table magic, I'm terrible because my arms are in the wrong place. So I really wanted to be able to figure out a way to be able to do this from a walk around perspective and kind of cover it. I'm really quite into a lot of Daniel Madison's work. So if anyone knows of some of the techniques that he spent a lot of time releasing, then they'll know that one of the moves that's used in terms of making this work in a walk around setting. But I'm really comfortable with that move, and sort of the idea behind this video was just as the caption says, find your worst angle and make it work. So this was really around me trying to film it from 360 to understand what people would see as I'm trying to perform this and in a practical environment, so that I could understand it and make it work better. And once I'd filmed it and seen what it looked like, I was like, okay, we're onto something now. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to share this. I think this was like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's going back quite a long time, really. There's probably one video of Flat Pack from before that, but I thought it was too good not to share to show the different angles, really.
Yeah, and I want to mention something too that I think a lot of people forget when it comes to trailers. And this one, what I just showed, it's not a problem, but the camera doesn't blink. So a lot of people, when they see something, and they also look at stuff with the lens of a magician, they look at it as a magician, and they can watch it over and over and over. But it's obvious that when you're doing this, you can see in that clip, that you just go through this and, when you're normally performing for people out in the real world, body language, stuff's happening, people are talking, there's stuff going on. So it's natural to do these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think from personal experience, so I've performed this around conventions now for about three plus years, two magicians, because I think magicians will burn you more than any spectator will in the world. And I've done this, especially this year when Illusionist had their little exclusive party at Revolution. I was in the middle of the dance floor surrounded by magicians, 360. And the reaction that this thing got, because absolutely nobody saw what was going on. Like literally, the box comes out, everybody reacts, and you could pull a pink elephant out into the room and do whatever you want to do with it, and people just will not see it.
I'm also showing a clip now where the deck is going back on the box and you're able to also compress the deck, I guess, back into the box, which that's something a lot of people I think are missing is that, yes, the deck can be produced from the box, but also if you want to and go full circle, because as we saw in the trailer with Javier, when he was out performing, people naturally say, hey, can you fold it back up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's It's interesting because the box appearance is eye candy for magicians, right?
Yep.
So everyone sees that and they're like, oh my God, and you can pull cards out of that. That's insane. But when you actually work with this and you get used to working with it in the real world, what you'll find is that there's two types of reactions at that moment. People either go crazy and they all start reacting together, or you just basically make their mind explode. So you don't really get a reaction because they find it too hard to process. But that's what makes the vanish twice as powerful. So when you finish your routine and you're like, I'm going to pack my cards away now, and you fold that box up, those people that couldn't process the beginning have double the impact at the ending because it sort of brings it full circle, like,
Yep.
What just happened? So I actually personally find the vanish more satisfying, even though it's not got that eye candy moment.
Yeah. And it definitely makes the whole thing. You could do it as an opener, like we said earlier, or you just use it as a closer. Just burp, burp, burp. All right, let's go. We had some questions coming in. One of them was from David. David says, does it make a sound when one drops it into their hand? So let's talk about when you actually start out with the box. It's folded up. You drop it. Any sound to worry about? Anything that doesn't sound out of the ordinary, just dropping a box.
Yeah, so there is a sound, but the sound is great. So as the box expands, it kind of makes a snapping sound as it expands.
Cool.
But it does that as it lands in your hand. So it sounds like the box has actually got some weight in it.
Cool.
So it doesn't sound like it's an empty box landing on the palm of your hand. It sounds like there's actually some weight behind that box, which I think really adds to that moment. It's fantastic.
Nice. I've just shown another clip here of Dave loosely doing it. I like Dave's handling here. We're going to show this. We'll run it through one more time. This one that they're going to see in just a second is Dave pulling this out of a looks like a little business card holder or something, the flat pack, which is great because it's another handling that allows you to have the deck in play and then get it into play after the appearance. So let's talk about the Dave loosely handling because I know that he's one of your buddies, and this one looks great too.
Yeah, so this was sort of something that I'd played around with a little bit, but I was using quite a thick leather wallet at the time when I was trying with the handling, and you get quite a bit of friction against the leather. So I'd kind of gone away from that as a handling because it just didn't fit me as a style. My wallet is the minimalist wallet that you see in the trailer. And as soon as Dave picked this up, because we did the filming down at Alakazam, Dave just jumped straight to that. He was like, this is how I would use this. I love this product. This is amazing. And literally within no more than 5 to 10 minutes of the first time he'd ever touched the gimmick, he came up with that handling and it was just invisible. And we were like, wow, can you share that with people? He's such a creative guy. Like his cogs turn so quickly. It's unreal.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And it just shows that there's so much flexibility the way that you perform this. You can do it where you just take the box out and it appears cleanly. You take it out of your pocket or from your wallet, from your little wallet you're carrying around, and then go into the routine. But also people don't realize, I think as a magician's talking again, that when the box appears, I guess we'll call it the appearance, that is a magic moment for quote unquote real people. That's the moment where they're like, whoa, wait a second, But I think magicians look at it and they're looking for the next beat. But for a lot of people that are watching this that are quote unquote, layman, regular people, that is the magic moment. They don't know that anything else is going to happen. So for them, they're already reacting. They're relaxing. They're not looking at your hands anymore. And I feel like people are missing that sometimes with some of the tricks coming out, especially with flat pack.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Well, there's two things I want to touch on there. Firstly, around the Dave loosely handling. I've actually been receiving quite a lot of videos over the last couple of days of people showing me ideas for their handling of it already. And Luke Osland actually sent one through to me today. Luke is a super creative young guy, but he was using an envelope.
Cool.
So he was using it as, I've just received this in the post. It's all folded up. But the envelope works like the wallet, only you're not coming out of your pocket with that. You start with the envelope in play, which kind of covers everything, and you're not reaching anywhere else, which I thought was genius. So yeah, and then the other bit around the appearance. So I think it's really easy to watch a video and assume that it's camera magic, so to speak. So we even had one person comment on the YouTube video going, "This video's been tampered with. You can see these frames." The appearance looks exactly like it does on camera, but from experience of performing this for magicians, when they see that appearance in real life, they have the exact same reaction as lay people in real life because they look at that box and it looks so great when it pops out that they instantly like, what? And then by the time they look back down again, you're pulling the cards out the deck. It's surprise. So if you can do that with magicians who kind of understand beats,
Yep.
Like the concept of a lay people, the timing, you've got so much time, it's untrue.
Yeah. So, again, I think that sometimes, as magicians, don't look at the trailer as a trailer as a magician, but try to watch it as though you were going to see it as a quote unquote real person. What are they seeing? Because even some of the reactions in the clips, like when Javier was doing it for the big groups, like they were already freaking out, and he could have loaded a freaking elephant in the box at that point. I mean, it's true, right? Yeah. Here's another clip. This one is I want to show this because this is one that's been very popular. Clip of Javier doing this. He's doing this one outside, where he drops the box and then the cards appear. There's been a lot of questions kind of around this handling and handlings like this. Why don't you talk a little bit about, that one? Is that one included? Are people going to understand how to do it when they get it? Let's talk about that one because I know that it's been a very popular clip. And also people are saying, well, is it limited because I have to do it that way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So me and Javier are having a really interesting conversation about this week. So Javier's filmed an explanation for it. I don't know if that's been all wrapped up and packaged yet to be added into the instructions, but we'll talk about this a little later because I have set up a Facebook group for it, and I think we'll probably share the explanation for that in there. It's a really interesting topic because people kind of hate the concept of magic for camera, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's really got its place. It's no different than performing at a table or performing stand-up. Each environment has its own advantages.
Yep.
And I think all Javier's done in this situation is he's looked at this particular gimmick and gone, what are my advantages for camera? And he's really played to those. So I think this is one of those that will look amazing on camera. It's probably not the most practical in a walk-around environment. It's going to be quite awkward to try and perform it like that. But I think for camera, it's amazing, and I think it's absolutely got its place as a performance sort of arena, and we will be looking to get that out there and share it with people.
That's good to know. I wasn't aware because I know there has been a lot of talk, is this included, is it taught? So now it's good to know that it will be added to the instructional part of this because it's all done online, the instructions, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about the customizing. This is something I want to make sure that people understand. Nigel Quinn wants to know, hey, Luke and Jason, is it possible to customize the tuck or the box? So let's talk about that because it does come in one color, but you do share how to make this into a different box if you want, right? Or different style.
Yeah. So there's a lot of challenges around manufacturing something like this. Obviously, the more variants you try and put together, the more it's going to increase the manufacturing costs. And anyone who's received this already and played with it for more than 5 minutes will realize how complicated the build on this thing is. And I can tell everybody that these have been made by hand. So they're not machine manufactured. Like there'll be some machining parts, but the final construction is by hand. So there's a lot of time spent into putting these together. So that being said, it's something that I wanted to not limit to one particular type of deck. And I really wanted to make this into something that anyone could use because I know a lot of professionals will use their own custom deck, for instance. So if I was to limit it to just blue or just red or make it in a way that it could only be used in one type of card box, I'm kind of excluding them from being able to do it in a professional environment. So we could have sent this out blank, really, and let you attach any kind of card box you wanted to the exterior. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to convert it from blue to red. Okay. And I know that it's created quite a lot of noise because red seems to be the most popular colour of box, which is why most gimmicks get put out in red in the first instance. But like literally, this is not a difficult thing to do. If you own a red box of bicycle, it will take you no more than 5 to 10 minutes to take this gimmick and turn it into red. But one of the things that I am looking at doing and exploring at doing through the Facebook group is maybe expanding some options and offering some options out to people for some customization kits that might make that slightly easier, where they can have it tailored to a non-bicycle deck, because it's slightly trickier if you are converting it into a box that doesn't have a white border without giving too much away.
Cool. I'm just going to show this moment again of the box. I just love that moment, dude, where the box just... What do you call that moment? Because it's not a deck appearing. It's not a box appearing. I mean, like, what do you call that moment where the box, I guess, becomes a box?
Madness.
Yes.
It's just totally unexpected. I remember a few years ago when I first showed this to Tom Elderfield and he saw the box folded up and he kind of expected me to unfold the box piece by piece. He wasn't expecting it to just open itself. Yeah, I don't know. It's fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. It's, I could watch
Madness.
it all.
Yes, you love it, and a lot of people love it. When they saw this, they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" And now it's good to know that this is also something that's made to last. I want to get to some of the basic questions too. Let's talk about durability for just a second. How durable is this? I know that people are going to work this type of stuff. They're going to use it. This is something obviously that's made to last, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you take this out of the box and you don't watch the tutorial,
Yeah.
and you kind of manhandle the gimmick a little bit, you're going to break it within about 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the tutorial and you understand how to use it, you're going to have zero issues with this, and be able to use it for a very, very long time. We teach you how to maintain it. And the more you get to grips with this gimmick, the less and less issues you're going to have. So the longer you use it, the easier you're going to find it to use, the easier you're going to find to maintain it. It is made of card, so the card is going to wear, and the more you use it, the more that's going to wear over time. I'm probably going to share some ideas around how you can make this last even longer beyond what we've taught on the tutorial within the Facebook group. It's probably slightly more complicated than we would have wanted to do for an instructional, because it probably would have taken as long as the entire instructional. But through the Facebook group, I'm pretty much going to teach you how to take this apart and put the entire thing back together if you want it to last forever, because the inside of this gimmick is extremely durable if you just use it in the way that it's intended to be used, and the card pieces can be upgraded.
Nice. I'm just showing the part now where you're putting it back together, and the deck is obviously flat again. It's gone. I was also showing the Patrick Kuhn clip while you were chatting. The Patrick Kuhn clip is another great one. It's another good example that you don't just have to load it in one way. Like, he's obviously using a table, but you don't just have to use the table to do that. And I've seen people say, when we shared this video, oh, that you can only do that trick sitting down. That's not, but obviously they haven't watched the full trailer, and that's why we're trying to show all these clips along the way so people know that you can do this in a lot of different ways. And it brings me to my next question. Let's talk about angles. You know, this is one of those things where you can see how visual it is, how surprising it is, but let's talk about what kind of angles and maybe what kind of angle management you need to work with flat pack.
So I think if you're trying to perform it for camera,
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to perform it in a stand-up version for camera as opposed to the seated version,
Yep.
Then you need to understand the eye line of the lens and make sure that as your two hands are coming together, they're in sort of a direct line towards the camera, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So my two hands are coming together there, the camera's not going to see anything. From a walk-around perspective, for me, there are no issues with angles whatsoever, because literally the motion happens so quickly that anyone who sees anything, the only thing it should really look like to them is you put your wallet away.
Yep.
It's so quick. As you can see from the side angle of the black and white video, right? You don't really see anything. As a magician, you're probably going to see something watching that video because you might have slowed it down back and forwards and frame by frame to see if there's a slight flash. But like, if you just watch that in normal speed as a layperson, you're not seeing anything. So for me, there's no real angle restrictions. I think the only thing to really consider is if you are using a back pocket for your wallet storage,
Mm-hmm.
then you're going to want to make sure that there's nobody stood right behind you, or that you're going to be like in an awkward space. So you want some space to have freedom to have your arms move. But for me, I don't worry about people behind. Most people are going to be, I mean, nobody performs for people stood behind them. I guess most workers will be worried about tables from further behind.
Mm-hmm.
I think the distance and the speed, it's just going to look like you're putting your wallet away.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely one of those things where when you just do it, it just happens. And again, in the real world, there's other stuff going on than what you're doing. So attention spans are either there or they're looking at their phone or they're back and forth, you know. So I think we need to realize that sometimes as magicians that we have a lot more to work with than just the trick. We have people and environments to work with too, you know. So
I think the biggest challenge for people with this is not going to be the angles. It's going to be magician's guilt.
got it. All right, that's fair.
So, like, if you don't feel guilty about it, there's no angle restrictions.
I like that. Magician's guilt. I'm going to show another clip here. This one is of Chris Webb. Haven't shown this one yet. He's outside here. He's kind of doing the same type of thing as Patrick did. He brings it out of a small plastic packet here. And here's the moment of the box, as you say, the mind-bending moment, the moment of awesome. and then he does the load. And again, he understands that sight line that you were just talking about.
Absolutely.
So there he goes. Yeah. And again, camera work is one thing, but out in the real world, a lot of stuff flies, a lot better than people think. Daniel Rick says this would also be a great opener and close with level 1. So that's a nice thing. Level 1, we talked with Christian Grace a little while ago. Talk about a nice combo here. Making the deck appear, go into level 1, vanishes, put the box back away, and all right, you're gone. It's cool. Yeah. I was going to ask you too about how difficult is this to do. Let's get into that. It's a very basic question. How hard is this to do? If you're a beginner, can you do this? If you're an advanced person, are you going to be able to do this and not even think about it? Let's talk about that.
So I think if you're a seasoned performer, you'll do this without even thinking about it, because Magician's Guilt is not going to play an issue for you. You're just going to do whatever you need to do. I think if you are an absolute beginner, then you need to be confident in the way that you're going to perform this. Skill-wise, it's not actually physically, technically difficult to perform this at all. If you can bring two hands together, you can perform it. It's more of a timing thing and just sort of having the confidence to just do it. What I would say in those situations is get used to the gimmick, practice with it, practice the load. I probably shouldn't say that, but everyone's figured that out by now. It's not rocket science. Practice that, but it is super easy. But if you have any concerns about it, you don't have to make the deck appear. So you can start with the gimmick in play, and you've just got a regular box of cards, right? Perform your routine and just make it vanish at the end.
There you go.
Get used to doing one thing and then build up to doing the whole thing. There's different levels. And I know I've touched on this in a few online conversations. It doesn't just have to be used for an appearance and a vanish as well. I mean, there's so much more you can do with this once you understand what it is. Yep. Like color changing decks, multiplying decks. There's so much you can do with it.
Yeah. But like you said in the beginning, if you do end up buying this, please, please, please watch the instructional part of this before you start to play with it, because it is something that is a gimmick. So make sure you know what you're doing with the gimmick before you start messing with it. That's pretty obvious. But I know a lot of people are so excited, Jason, and for good reason. This is a really fun piece of Magic to watch, and I'm sure it's fun to do too. So, yeah. Nick Kennett wants to know, can you use it on the streets? Is this good for street Magic? I know a lot of people love doing that kind of stuff. Is it good for that environment?
So absolutely. So I am not a professional full-time magician. I actually have a full-time job that pays me very well that I absolutely love, which means that I get to have magic as my hobby and it consumes all of my spare time. And it also means that I'm not limited by going out performing my same set all the time. So I love to create magic. And the first thing I do is take it out and perform for myself. So I've done gigs. I did not enjoy performing magic for other people on their terms. So the best way for me to test my magic, I'm not bothered about being social famous and filming reactions. It's just for me to take my creations out onto the street, find some people, random people, and just perform them and road test them for people who don't know me. And I do that on a regular basis to really make sure that what I've got works in all kinds of different environments that aren't really pre-planned and staged.
Sweet. And speaking of different situations, we had someone here, Mark Newsom. I think that you know Mark because he says he's performed this at weddings surrounded. He says it's all about audience management and it went down a treat. Loves the effect. Hats off to Jason for this effect. So it sounds like he's had this maybe for a little while. Or maybe he just got it and he's already using it, but he's loving this and he says not to worry about those angles. So there you go.
Yeah, there's 2 reviews that have already been posted to YouTube. So one by Mark
cool.
and one by Rooster, who I'm sure is in the group as well. And they've both worked this gimmick already. So they've purchased it since it's been released. They've both been out and worked it already, which kind of shows you how difficult it isn't, if that makes sense, because they've put a couple of hours practice time in and they've already been and done it in a professional situation and slayed it.
Cool. Let's talk about that real quick as we start to wind this down. We got a couple more minutes with you here. Let's talk about the Facebook group, because I know that's something that the people I've been interviewing, they've either created a group or they have groups that they have out there for people. Is there a flat pack group for people to talk about and share their ideas with?
Yes, I've just created it today. It's called Flat Pack Forum. If you search it on Facebook, you'll find it. There'll be a question for people who want to join the group. Just literally go on, request to join, and all it'll ask you for is a password and you just need to put in the password that you got with your flat pack gimmick, just so that we know you're not like a rogue invader, etc. But once you're in there, you can talk all things flat pack. I'm also going to be posting links in there to another private website page of my own, where I'll be sharing some other content and videos, things that will talk in depth a bit more around like repair, some of the things and questions that I've had so far, and maybe a bit more around actually customizing the gimmick to non-standard bicycle decks and things like that. So some extra content and maybe some extra handling ideas, which I'll share in that group.
Sweet. I'm just showing that Javier clip again. Dude, that looks so good. And I'm really glad that he decided to do a clip without the black shirt, because we put up the clip, the coming soon clip, and everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people were like, oh, nice shirt. All right.
Yeah.
So now it's like, all right, nice blue shirt, right?
So, George sent me the video of that clip, with the black t-shirt, which I shared first, I think, on Instagram, but he'd sent me that months back, when Javier first got hold of the gimmick. And the first time I watched that clip, I was like, damn, that fooled me. Like, I genuinely jumped to the same conclusion as everybody else, but because I know how this works, the second time of watching it, I caught what he'd done, and I was like, that's just genius. It's just so clever. And
again, guys, just so that you know, they are working on this right now. That handling will be added to the flat pack instructional. I guess there's like not categories, different clips added for different parts of the instructional. That one will be added. We don't know when just yet, but they're working on that right now. So keep an eye out on your flat pack URL, because that'll be popping up sometime soon, right?
Yeah, and be sure to join the Facebook group, because we'll put it in there as well and share it in there.
Cool. Yeah, that's going to be a good place. I know that everyone that purchased level 1, it's in there. Not only are they getting a lot of good advice on how to use the gimmick, they're also getting a lot of advice, and people are sharing ideas on how to use it, how to work with it. And I can't wait to see what people do with flat pack now, because I'll be joining that group, man. I'll be in there. I'll be joining the group. And I've heard this a few times here on the chat that you're one of the nicest guys too that they've met. I know that you and I have met briefly at Blackpool, but you know, it's nice to know that you will be. I'm assuming you'll be involved, because this is fun to you. I can tell you're having fun with this now. I'm sure you'll be in there having just as much fun as everyone else. Yeah. Yeah, I think what's great for me is when you share something. I think that's when it really takes off, because everyone has their own thing that they bring to the table, right? And I think people are going to take this to places that I never would have thought of or never imagined. I remember the first time I showed this to Javi Benitez. We were at the South Tyneside Magic Convention, of all random places. And the first thing he did once I let him get hold of the gimmick was produce it from behind somebody's ear and then pop a deck into it with some kind of crazy handling that I've never seen. And I still to this day don't know how the hell he did it. So I know that people are going to come up with some crazy things with this. I love it, dude. I'm going through the black and white clip one more time, just the beginning part. Here's that other angle, guys. Watch this. He's giving you basically one of the not so good angles, but look, it still flies. I mean, there you go. That's real. That's the real talk right there from Jason Knowles. He's giving you the real work. He doesn't want to try to fool you, even though I know a lot of people are fooled with these. What you're getting is practical, workable, and you put the time to watch this and how to use it. It's going to last you a while too. It's going to be very durable too. So, yeah. Any last thoughts on flat pack? Anything that people have been talking about that you want to make sure that they know about, or something you want to address? Or I know that there's a lot of stuff with this, but I think we covered a lot of the basics. But is there anything else you want to say about it? Yeah, there was just one more thing. So I had a really interesting question from Rooster. He got in touch with me this morning before he posted his review. And he does cover it on his review, but I'll share it here anyway. The gimmick. So he was questioning when you have it sort of folded in an activated state before you go performing, how long could you leave it in that position? Or are you going to wear it out if you leave it in that position all the time? So the advice I gave him, which it dawned on me that we never covered this on the instructional, was when you are not performing with this gimmick and you're at home or whatever, don't leave it stored in your wallet. Just put it back in its box, or put it. I can't say the other thing to do. I'll post it in the group, but just store it expanded rather than folded when it's not in use. If you keep it folded throughout a full gig, you'll be fine. You in and out all the time, but don't then leave it for 3 days folded up, or you might end up not having the results you want to see. Cool. No, that's a great tip, and I was thinking about that too, because obviously when you perform, you want to keep it in that folded state, but when you're not performing, keep it open. All right, very cool. I got to tell you, man, this has been something that's blown us away. I know we were talking earlier before we went live about how, like on YouTube, this one has exploded. on our Instagram. We just posted another clip today of Javier doing the one we just showed in the blue shirt. People are just raving about this, man, and I'm so happy for you. I know this one, because of the details on how intricate the gimmick is and how it works. It took a little time to get it to where it is, but man, I sure hope that wait's worth it, because everyone is talking about this right now. Everyone is loving this, and I hope that at the end of the day, you're happy with letting your trick go to the Magic community, because they're definitely welcoming this with very open arms and loving this, dude.
Yeah, it's always nerve-wracking when you've put your heart and soul into something. I mean, this has been in production now for close to 3.5 years. When you put that much time and effort into something and you really sort of problem solved every potential thing that you think there is, and it's kind of nerve-wracking, but it's been amazing to see the response, and I'm just glad people are loving it, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it. I'm still in shock that we've pretty much sold out. So
oh yeah, it's crazy.
Mad.
Your buddy Rooster's here. I want to give him a shout out. Rooster Robertson's here. He says, thanks for the shout out. Great gimmick. It should be in everyone's wallet. That's someone that actually has this and has done a review. Do you know what his YouTube channel is to watch the review? Or I could post a link after this.
It's Rooster Magic. I shared the link with you earlier on. It's the last link.
Cool.
But yeah, he's not just done a review. He actually worked it at a gig last night and then did the review.
Oh, cool. Now that's the way I like to see that, because someone actually has used this, can tell you how good or not good it is in the real world. All right, cool. I dig that. All right. Benny Chickering here says, I don't buy a lot of stuff, and I'm buying this. And Benny is the guy all about gimmicks. You may or may not know his name, but dude, that says something, dude. Another fellow gimmick guy. There you go. That's cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right, Jason, I'm going to let you run, man. I know it's getting late over there. You're on the other side of the pond. I think it's like 8 o'clock over there, or going on 8 o'clock. So thank you for sharing all these thoughts, and congrats. As one creator to another one, I know how exciting it is when one of your babies is now released to the world. You can let go, and man, is this one blowing up. So congrats to you. And
thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us and answering these questions. And if you guys have any more, feel free to post them below too. I'm sure Jason will keep an eye on the thread too. So.
Just one last thing, Luke, if that's all right. I'd just say to everybody, if anybody does have any further questions with it, or they run into some difficulties or challenges, make sure you join the group, but also feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm more than happy to talk it through with you and support you through whatever you're going through with it.
Love it. And I think his name on Instagram is Deception is Reality. Am I right?
Correct.
All right. Yes. Deception. Wait, let's think about that. Deception is reality.
It's a play on perception is reality.
It's deep. It's deep, man. I dig it. All right, my friend. Well, thanks for hanging out. And yeah, guys, if you can find it, get it. Flat pack. Yeah, because it's sold out everywhere as far as I know, but I'm sure more will be coming in. But congratulations, and thank you again, Jason. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
See you later, guys.